Whew. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to yet another episode of the Eljay Johnsen Show. This show airs every single weekend, every single Saturday at 4 o'clock p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, unless specified otherwise, over on Twitter at the Eljay Johnsen, where you can find updates and guest announcements every single Tuesday. And if you have any questions over the week, make sure you send them in to me via email at ljjohnson@gmail.com. Remember, that's JOHNSEN. All right, that worked out. So, I'm going to make this a shorter introduction because most of you probably already know who my next guest is. He is a returning guest. He's been on this show, I think, a record 4 or 5 times already. So he's easily one I would consider a regular. It is, of course, Tyler Anderson, otherwise known as Mesonak. How you doing?
Excuse me, my name's Kopake Nika122. I don't know what Meso is.
Yeah.
I do. He was an ex-friend of mine.
Oh, an ex-friend. What happened?
He sucks. We had a falling out because he was mean.
Really?
He hated G2 and I loved it.
Oh,
I'm a
okay.
G2 super fan.
Oh, wow. All right. What's your favorite part about G2?
My favorite part about G2 is the backstory for Skull Basher. Skull Basher's really cool, and he's a really well-done character. And I really liked his existential crisis on life when he had to reconcile being a skeleton with being a basher and what that means for humanity at large.
Okay, all right. Yeah, no, that's very fascinating. I'm impressed. You kept that up for a lot longer than I thought you would. Good job.
I'm done with this charade. What up, everybody? It's me, Meso, back again.
Yeah.
How y'all doing?
Well, I'm doing. I'm doing. Oh, you're talking to them or me? No.
Yeah, I was talking to, I guess, you, but also them. Say in the chat how you're doing if you're doing good. Everybody having a fun time?
I hope so.
Say it.
It's gonna be a fun time. So this episode isn't gonna be normally whenever I have Meso on. These episodes run long. They usually end up being about 3 or so hours, give or take. So this one's gonna be a bit shorter because we have some things we need to get to today. Some shows to watch, some Shield to
I
commiserate
want it
over.
on principle to be like the longest one ever. But number one, we're starting late, so I can't do that. And number two, the topic probably won't last that long anyway.
Yeah, yeah. And obviously what we're talking about, Meso, is it has nothing to do with the title of the video or the thumbnail, of course. Instead,
What I want to talk about is the real story behind Legends of Chima.
Oh.
I think we need to dig into the Chima like behind the scenes drama and why it existed and why it failed.
interesting.
Yes, I think there's a story there.
Okay.
You know?
Yeah, I can see that. All
Yeah.
right. Yeah. Okay. All right, Mr.
Yeah.
Anderson. I'm not talking Andersons. Anderson.
Very true.
So, yeah. Before we get started, if there is anyone who isn't familiar with you, then go ahead and kind of reintroduce yourself, give a brief synopsis on who you are, what you do, and whatnot.
Okay. In short, my name is Meso, Tyler Anderson, Mesonak, whatever you want to call me. I'm a primary host, and I am the main host for the TTV podcast, and a primary host over on the TTV channel, where we do Bionicle and Lego related content, amongst other things. And I've just kind of been a fixture in the Bionicle community for a lot of years, not really doing any one particular facet. Like a lot of people have their niches, like mock making, or
Reviews.
art, or stories, or reviews, or lore masters, or comic makers, or RPGing. But I don't really do any of that stuff. I prefer to instead focus on the community side of things and just really stay in tune on like discussion and opinions and perspectives and dialogue and like community aggregates, and I'm really into like all that kind of stuff. So to me, my favorite part about being in the Bionicle community is the community.
Which is funny.
And there's a lot to discuss there.
It's funny because you don't interact with it very much.
Nope. I am a outsider looking in.
Which is probably why it's
like-
one of your favorite things about Bionicle.
You are very correct.
Yeah.
If I interacted with it, I would have a different perspective than just observing.
Oh, yeah.
I just find it interesting. Like the Bionicle community is such like a microcosm of the internet, and it arose in such a unique way, and the struggles it's faced over the years are so interesting that you can really see if you trace back the history, like why we are how we are today. There's a clearly defined path of like what led us to this point.
Oh yeah, yeah, no, definitely. All right, I think that'll do for your introduction. If you're still unfamiliar with Meso, there are 3 other episodes with him on, and you'll get a general idea of who he is. So those exist. Okay.
Exactly.
So originally, last time you were on, we had agreed that the next time you were going to be on, which is this time, obviously, we were going to be discussing more story themes, story Lego themes. So Chima, Nexo Knights, Elves, and we wanted to actually finish all of those shows. We've seen Chima, we wanted to finish Nexo Knights, and we wanted to watch Elves, and I still plan on Elves. We haven't gotten around to it, because I recommended maybe a different subject, a subject that seems to have been cropping up recently, which is really weird. And if you couldn't guess from the title of the video, you know, what I used to describe what we're going to discuss, it's clickbait in the Bionicle community.
Yes. There's like 3 different facets towards this conversation.
Yes.
And there's stuff that you've had to deal with, there's stuff that modern TTVs had to deal with, and there's stuff old TTVs had to deal with. So there's a lot of conversations to be had about clickbait. Do you want to I don't know how you want to structure this. Do you want to talk about the inciting incident for why this
For
is
this
a
conversation?
thing? Yeah, or do you want to kind of work backwards to forward?
Let's start with the more recent one. So
Okay, because there was something that happened to you and I on one of your shows.
the last one. The
It
last
was a
one
big
you were
head
on.
scratch moment.
Yeah. So I read all the comments. I've been pretty transparent about that. I usually read everything that's sent in. I don't always have the best track record with responding it, but I generally read it and want to reply. It just sometimes I just don't. But it's not like a personal thing. So last episode that Meso was on, we talked about the Bionicle films. And we talked a lot about them in relation to the Lego films. And we talked about a lot of other things. And so whenever I'm making a thumbnail and a title for the video, I discuss what I figure the primary topic is going to be, and then I'll usually tack on "and more," because we're not going to talk about just one subject. We're going to talk about more than that. And so I say that we're talking about the movies and more. And so then we talk about the films. Everything that's in the thumbnail, I believe, shows up in the video. Or at least it's accurate, it's representative. And I think, all right, fair enough, there shouldn't be an issue. And then I get a comment, like a month and some odd amount of time afterwards, after the video had been posted, from someone who was going through the videos, watching them and commenting, which I appreciate. And he said, for anyone reading the comments, any future viewers, don't watch this. It's clickbait. They don't even talk about the movies. They just talk about other Lego themes. And if someone has a problem with me, that's perfectly fine. I don't have any ire with that. If they have any issue with me, that's all right. Fair enough. You know what? Might be perfectly reasonable to have ire. That's fine. The thing that I don't tolerate is blatant lies about me in the videos that I make. Like, just outright lies. That's what really gets under my skin. Because the video was very clearly not... Like, the thumbnail and the title were accurate. We talked about the movies. And more. I was very specific about that. The movies appear in the thumbnail. They appear in the video. Everything is factual. And that really... That bothered me. Because I'm very specific about making sure that the video thumbnails and titles are representative of what's in the video, of the content. So no one is being misled. And I'll usually have what's in the thumbnail in the video here. Because I don't try and bait people into it. If they're interested, you are more than welcome to come and watch. If you enjoy it, wonderful. If not, that's fine. But I'm not trying to have this clickbaity sensationalist mojo going on. So that's what really instigated the topic for this one. So to the individual, I'm not going to call them out by name, but you know who you are. And I said, hey, listen, maybe not lie about my videos. Because you're more welcome to comment. You're more than welcome. You're even more than welcome to disagree with me in the comments or say something negative about the video. That's perfectly fine. Just don't lie about it to other people.
Yeah,
That's the
it
only
creates
issue.
a dangerous cycle of discussion, basically, where people are operating under a false premise about their point. Especially with that video, it's just like it's so blatant, that it was not clickbait of any sort. It was so frustrating, and this is an issue that I've been like, even recently, with the Faber stuff, the Bionicle stuff. There was a dude. It was a very similar like head scratch moment where I couldn't believe what they were saying, because I made a video about the Faber thing back in its infancy. We didn't really know much about it, and it was a news video that was titled. Let me go pull that up. Breaking news: Christian Faber posts cryptic Bionicle Instagram teaser, and people were like, "Well, that's clickbait," and this is terrible, and you're just looking to rake in the views. And I'm like, word for word, Christian Faber on his Instagram account posted a teaser of the letters BIO and didn't really post any other details, ergo making it cryptic. At what point in that title did I say anything that was not representative of the content of that video? You could say it was not necessarily Bionicle, but considering Faber and his audience and the letters and the implication, then I think that's a pretty safe bet that it was referring to or meant to imply a reference to Bionicle. And I was very careful in my title to not say things like Christian Faber hints at return of Bionicle, or Bionicle G3 teased by Christian Faber, or he says 14B 2020, Bionicle G3 possibly returning in 2020. Like, there's a million titles that I could have done that could have fallen under the constraints of clickbait, but I tried to be, mostly factual about things. Yet I was like raked over the coals, not just by that dude, but by other various undesirables on YouTube who had a good time like mocking the Faber videos.
Who had a very good time clickbaiting people into watching their video.
Yeah, the great irony.
Yeah. No, there's another Bionicle YouTuber who will go unnamed. I don't like him getting attention. Who decided to make a video, and the thumbnail and title were clickbait. They weren't representative of the video's content at all. So, in criticizing TTV for clickbait, he clickbaited himself. So, good job, hypocrite.
Yeah, essentially, it all boils down to that. And like, to pretend that the Faber news isn't news worth discussing or making videos about is ludicrous. Like, you can say it doesn't mean anything, and I would happen to agree. But to say it's not worth even letting people know about in any capacity, just like don't talk about it, pretend it's not happening, that to me is dumb. And how are you supposed to make videos about it and be any more clear about what it is when Christian Faber isn't even clear about what it is? How can you make those thumbnails and titles actually reflective of the content in any way other than what it was?
Yeah.
And I only made 2 videos. One was a news video, and the other was me saying how it was dangerous for the community. And it was a 23-minute long opinion piece that I guarantee most people didn't watch. So it's not like I'm making sensationalist news headlines for clicks. People are going to see that duration, and they're probably not going to watch it. So, I don't know.
Wasn't there a news video, or it was an opinion video you made, but you titled... Yeah, okay, you titled it Breaking News. Never changed the thumbnail on that. But
which one was it?
It was about Ninjago. It was about the show. It was about a month ago.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I mean, that was a mistake. But even so, the news disclaimer is very like everything is news. Both are news. I've always put my opinion in news videos ever since we started reporting news. I say the news, and I say what I think about it. The only difference is when it's a long rant video, I try to give people like more of a heads up. But even then, that doesn't make it clickbait. It's just a courtesy.
Mm-hmm.
It's a courtesy for the viewer to know what they're getting into, essentially.
Yeah, and it's very weird, honestly, because it's weird for me when I was accused of clickbait, because that's just so it's very counter to basically all the videos I've made. Like, I make reviews. How do you clickbait a review?
Yeah.
I try very hard to be as factual and honest with what is in the video as I can. Like, I have the opportunity right here, right now, to go back and change every single recap review thumbnail to make it of a higher quality. And I would be deceiving people into clicking on that because they'd be expecting a higher quality video than what they will actually get. I'm actively choosing not to do that because it's disingenuous. With TTV, the reason why it's perplexing is twofold. One, for instance, the YouTuber who made the video with using clickbait was very irritated that, and he's always been this way. He was very irritated that the video was monetized. Because I guess he assumes that we're in Google's pocket, lining our pockets with all that sweet YouTube cash.
Which is hilarious on a number of levels.
Which is hilarious, and even if we were, who cares?
If we were, there's nothing wrong with that either.
Well, I mean, it's Google, so...
Making money does not make you a criminal or a deception artist. Like, yeah, we do not make that much money anymore. Yeah, we make barely anything. There was a time when we did. That was years ago.
Yeah, it's not now. And it's not the point of anything either. And the other thing is, this is critique lobbied at TTV, who have traditionally been reasonably accurate about things.
With a few exceptions.
With very few exceptions. Let's name a few. I don't actually remember any.
I think the number one would be the TTV podcast episode Logan Paul react.
No. I mean about reporting on things.
Oh, reporting on things? I don't believe ever. But I mean, like, in terms of clickbait. Like, people say TTV spreads misinformation. We've gone through and we've debunked all the times when that was a thing. I think you even have a video in development, Eljay, that goes into it.
Oh, yeah. Well, I have the audio ready, so no one ever gave me feedback.
It was good. There's your feedback.
Thanks.
We've had a long history of people saying that we spread like misinformation in our news reporting. Mm-hmm. But when you actually go back through and you take a look at all the hallmarks that people point to, it doesn't actually exist. That does not happen. You can say that there were times when we were sensational in our titling.
That's accurate.
But sensationalism does not equal dishonesty. And the dishonesty is the association with clickbait. That might not be the dictionary definition. Like, you could say sensational titles also fall under clickbait. But the common internet definition that people use when they're derogatory towards it is being promised content, clicking on it, and then being baited into something else. Like, there has to be a deception for the clickbait to work. If it's legit, there's no deception. It just means that you wanted to click it and you got what it was.
Mm-hmm.
So, and that's where people do I think there is something wrong with promising content in a video or a news article or a show or a movie or whatever that doesn't actually exist, using false advertising to achieve that? Yes, I think that's very bad. Do I think there's anything inherently wrong with minor sensationalism on the internet for videos and articles and even movies and shows? Like, what do you think trailers are? No, I don't think there's anything inherently wrong with that. That's the world we live in. That's advertising. When you see a trailer of a movie and you have all the best moments cataloged in like a 2-minute clip with quotes overlaid on it about how great the movie is, fantastic story, IGN, 9 out of 10, incredible visuals, Forbes. It's like, that's a very slanted advertising piece, but it is accurate. Those scenes are in the movie. Those reviews exist. That rating exists. Ergo, that's not clickbait. And the same is true with YouTube videos that have flashy thumbnails with a guy making a funny face and arrows pointing to that funny face. Like, when you go in the video, you're expecting to see a funny face. And if you get a funny face, even if it's for like 1 second, then that video fulfilled its promise. I do not think that is clickbait. I think that's just sensationalist because they're trying to create an appealing looking thumbnail to make you click, as anyone is who wants their video to be seen on YouTube.
Mm-hmm. Now, I will say, I don't know if I necessarily 100% agree in the sense that I don't like sensationalism. That's not to say that it's inherently wrong, which is what you were saying. You don't think it's a bad thing. I will say that I don't like it just because I want to see what the video is about and without any of the fat around it. You know, I don't need to be, at this point, I don't need to be baited into a video. However, I do agree in the sense that on YouTube especially, it's very accurate of you to say it's advertising. Your thumbnail is trying to advertise what the video is. Every video has to have a hook to bring people in if you want it to be seen. And you only have two ways of doing that. You have the title and you have the thumbnail. And as far as I'm aware, thumbnails are usually what are the deciding factor here. Like, you can have a title say one thing, but the thumbnail being something completely different. No matter what the thumbnail is, or no matter what the title is, the thumbnail is really going to be what grabs you because it's a visual thing. And then you go on
Exactly.
So,
but like, there have been people who have looked at our channel thumbnails, even just regular, been like, "Oh, this is clickbaity." Like this clip of me getting like triggered because of the Jack Skellington brickhead, and I used the freaking screaming face, the rage face from the meme. I forget if this was in a Discord server or in the actual comments. I haven't looked through it, but I recall someone pointing out that thumbnail and being like, "Oh, why are you using that rage face? That's a little tacky." And
no, that was me.
Because it looks funny. That was you?
Yeah, no, I said it looked tacky.
Yeah, I mean, to me, it looks funny. I get angry, but it's an audio show, so they don't have me having an angry face that I can put in the thumbnail. So I used a popular internet meme associated with rage, and I put it in the thumbnail. You could contort an argument if you really wanted to that that's clickbait because that face isn't in the video.
Mm-hmm.
But I would say no, it's just being slightly sensationalist because I want people to watch that video to see me rage.
Mm-hmm.
But the rage is there. The rage is honest.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where the line is drawn. You can dislike it, or you can think it's like it's a wrong and dishonest thing to do. Two are very different.
Mm-hmm. Now, that is another aspect of this, which I touched upon earlier. It's representation of the thumbnail in the video, which is more so representing the video via the thumbnail.
Mm-hmm.
So, for instance, the thumbnail of this video is one of the concept pieces that Christian Faber posted to his Instagram. Up to this point, you haven't seen it in the video. Could anyone make the argument that it's clickbait now? Up until this point? Because we're still accurate to the thumbnail, because the thumbnail also contains, we're discussing clickbait in the Bionicle community, which we've been doing. It's also in the title of the video. So what happens if I post it? There it is. I accidentally deleted the wrong thing.
Brilliant.
Boom. It's in the video now. Is it no longer clickbait? Personally, I would say it was never clickbait to begin with. However, now the video matches the thumbnail and vice versa. It's here. So it's in the video. And that's just an aside why I find it bothersome that I was called out on it, because I usually try and keep the images in the thumbnail in the video somehow. Because I make the thumbnails before the video happens, because I need the thumbnail before I stream.
Exactly. There was zero reason for you to get called out.
Yeah.
I'm extrapolating TTV because honestly there's more discussion to be had with our content. With you, you're like 100% innocent. You should never face that critique.
Yeah. And with TTV, I will be the first to say TTV has done clickbait before. Absolutely. And
Well, that's why I'm walking through our video backlog and I
Okay,
want to
fair
like
enough.
pointing out stuff on its merits because I agree we've done it before as well. Logan Paul reacts to Hail Denmark being the most egregious example
Absolutely. I
because that
feel
title is an actual like it's a lie, it's a fallacy.
yeah, that's the thing that really ticks me off. Now, I've had several conversations with other people in TTV about this, and they say, well, we talk about Logan Paul and the whole controversy in the podcast, which I also disagreed with. I don't know if that's necessarily an appropriate podcast conversation. However, I digress. But the entire thing is meant, the video is intentionally meant to bait Bionicle fans into watching it. Because it's a TTV podcast talking about Logan Paul, on a channel that has historically discussed Bionicle in the midst of a TTV G3 project. So it's trying to piggyback off of a very popular Bionicle series, reviving Bionicle, piggybacking off of that and the Logan Paul controversy, which that's a whole nother topic, mushing them together and making the title Logan Paul Reacts to Hail Denmark. What?
Yeah.
I hate it. It is a blotch in my opinion, on the TTV channel's history, along with the person that made it.
Yeah. My opinions of it are down the middle. I think the thumbnail itself was fine, but it's the title I do take umbrage with.
Yeah, the title, the combination of the two is just a mixture of slop.
Yeah. Because like, the thumbnail it's not a falsehood by any means, but the title definitely.
Yeah.
A lot of our channel, like a lot of the brick feed clips, which were thumbnails I made, like this one, this is a garbage thumbnail in the sense that it's not made well, but just look at this. Put this up on the screen if you can. I don't know if you can.
I
like
cannot. I would need the direct images.
Got it. I'll work on that then, because we've made a lot of videos.
Really?
Yeah, and obviously there's going to be some that are worse than others, and I think personal accountability is good.
Mm-hmm. I agree. I think that's why I try not to shy away from debate or discussion or whatnot. Like, oh gosh, where was I? I think I said it in a review recently. Just, if I don't get to something when I say I'm going to get to it, at that point, by all means, let me hear it. Keep me accountable for it. If I've done something wrong, or if I am wrong about something, show me why I am. That's my general stance. If you're a jerk about it, well, then you're just kind of a jerk. And I don't think very highly of your explanation, because you're just kind of being a piece of garbage. But
yeah.
If I'm wrong, I would argue, out of everyone in TTV currently, I'm one of the few that is quickest to admit being incorrect about something, and will walk back anything I say if I am wrong.
This is true, which is a remarkable bit of character development, I must say.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then if I walk back on it, then Envy will jump on it and be like, "Oh, you said this." Anyway.
Also correct. Man, just like that. Very, very.
Uh-oh. I forgot that this was a thing. Meso has internet issues at the moment, or not necessarily internet issues, but he's got connectivity issues. So this is going to happen every so often.
I guess the Eljay Johnsen Show doesn't know about that. My frequent reoccurring lag that happens whenever I do anything to send a file.
All right, what do you want me to put up first of these?
The stupid mockist gets arrested.
Okay, so this is a thumbnail from presumably Brickfeed.
It's a Brickfeed clip we made.
Okay, now...
So, your initial impressions on this thumbnail, what do you think of it? Aside from the fact that it's poorly made.
It falls under oh gosh, it's weird. So my assumption, if I'm looking at this, because I actually haven't listened to it, so I'm assuming that a mockist made a gun and was arrested because people thought it was real, and someone cut out the Picard facepalm gif to express their annoyance. And now it's in a desert.
I believe you're correct. Not to the desert. I believe that is correct. Instagram image of Lego assault rifle and threat led to 14-year-old
14-year-old cut. Again, this will happen. Also, if anyone wants to chime in with their opinion and thoughts, I'm not opening up questions yet. However, if you do have something to chime in with, by all means, please do. I'm monitoring the chat. I always do. So if you have something you want to mention, go for it, please. And do not feel afraid to disagree with anything that we're saying. That's kind of part of the process, part of the conversation process. Meso, you back?
Discord completely crashed on me. How wonderful.
Oh, okay. Fair enough.
What I was saying was the actual story, you're completely right. It was an Instagram image of a Lego assault rifle and a threat of a teen writing, "Don't come to school tomorrow."
Oh my gosh.
Which led to a 14-year-old's arrest.
Oh boy.
So that's a whole other conversation. But yeah, when I made the thumbnail, I was like, so what if I just crop out this Lego gun? I don't know why I chose the background, but to be a bit of reason, I don't know. That's just kind of
Picard
weird.
is in a desert with a Lego gun. What's he gonna do next?
But yes, the Picard picture was meant to be like, I can't believe this is happening, but the Picard picture doesn't actually show up anywhere in the video. That's to me a very common YouTube thumbnail shtick. But what would you classify that as? Tasteful or tacky?
I would not call it either. Honestly, I don't think either of those words are something that I would attribute to this thumbnail.
Fair enough.
And I also don't know if I'd call it clickbait because I was able to discern what the subject was just from. And again, I've never listened to the episode. I don't think I was on it.
Yeah, that's why I'm choosing the clips, is because these are all from when LJ wasn't on the podcast.
Yeah, no, you're right. So, I don't know.
All right.
I actually, you know what? Timote Best, I think, actually puts it very well. Tastefully tacky. I won't disagree with that descriptor.
Yeah.
So.
All right, put up the next one. Let's judge this.
Okay.
So
I remember. So while I was gone from TTV, I remember that I had a variety of people from TTV who would show me things they were working on and ask my opinion of them. So I was still giving my feedback even while I was gone. I know
this is true.
At least 3 people did that. You were one of them, and I remember you approached me about this one. Now, I object to this one simply because Solak exists on it. However, I know your thought process behind it.
Okay, I'll explain it for the audience. So this was a clip of us discussing the Darth Maul Lego set that was shown at Toy Fair, about one of the last construction sets ever received. I think technically the last one.
Mm-hmm.
So Darth Maul sent us off with a bag. And about how he couldn't move his elbows, how they were permanently locked to achieve the gear function, which let his lightsaber swivel. And I made the comparison to the Avmatoran, specifically Solak, because they also have that. I think I called them the modern day Avmatoran or something. And so I put Solak here in like the corner of the clip. And then the text obviously the problem with Darth Maul. But never in the video do I actually show a comparison directly between Solak and Darth Maul. It's just Darth Maul.
Now, I think you can probably make a stronger argument for this being clickbait simply because Solak never appears in the video. Ever. And because if you're not already accustomed with TTV, you won't understand that to most people, specifically Meso, Solak is synonymous with garbage. So, by looking at this, if you're not familiar with TTV, you don't understand the comparison here. Darth Maul and vaguely Bionicle-looking figure? I don't understand. But if you know TTV, it's like, oh yeah, okay, so Darth Maul's trash. That's what you'd get out of this. At the same time, you do discuss it in the video itself. So it falls into a very gray area. I would say it's probably a little more sensationalist, especially in the sense that it's catering to the TTV audience specifically. However,
Yeah.
even then, it's shallow.
All right. Fair enough.
I do not want to put this next one on screen, Meso.
You don't? All right.
So
Well,
this
I
is-
also made this one, so I take the fall for this
Wait,
one,
you
too.
made? I thought no. I don't think you made this one.
I think I make every TTV thumbnail, dude.
I thought it was because you weren't on this episode.
Maybe. I don't know.
I'm pretty sure it was. I call him a name that starts with an I. You call him a name that starts with an M.
I don't think, wait, Oh, man. I don't think Mange made this.
Yeah. Okay, I thought he made it.
He could have, but either way, it's a
I-
TTV dating sim thing referencing Doki Doki Literature Club, except purple's juxtaposed over one of the girls because we were having a conversation about that.
This one just makes me uncomfortable.
The topic, according to the description, the TTV dating simulator is proposed amidst the host of Valentine's Day woes on this week's clip, TTV Podcast 285, featuring Mange, Takuma, Purple, and X.
Oh no!
Which, number one, sounds like a funny podcast.
It sounds hilarious.
that I never listened to. But, so I don't even know the context for this thumbnail, but regardless, if I had to guess, it's probably about how Purple spent Valentine's Day lonely. So the gimmick of the discussion was Purple needs a boyfriend, so she needs the TTV dating simulator
Yeah.
or something.
And see,
But
this falls into another type of thumbnail. This one, I will say, this one borders very close on you'll have thumbnails that are really trying to attract a particular audience. You know, they have a bunch of ladies in the thumbnail and in various states of dress, and they're very obviously desperate for you to click the video. But it's usually like a cut frame. Like, I think some other YouTubers talking about how this was a big issue a while back. And so it's one of those, the video has nothing to do with it, but it's there for like a frame so that they technically have it in the video and it's representative, but it really isn't. So it falls closer to orbit to that, but it isn't. It isn't as bad, but it just feels awkward to me. Maybe it's
That's fair.
Maybe that's because I know the people involved.
I mean, it's definitely awkward, but would you say that it's clickbait considering the conversation topics, or do you just say it's a bit tasteless?
You know what? All right, I definitely taste it. You know what? Okay, I will post it. I don't want to post it, but I will. This is the thumbnail. Tasteless, yes. Clickbaity, no. Sensationalist,
In the middle.
yeah.
Okay. As you can see, we have a lot of variety in our thumbnails. We have a lot of discussion here. That's why I'm posting so many of them. It's because we can really we can dig in.
Yeah.
Fair enough. I have another one, another TTV podcast clip. I'm basically putting ourselves on trial here.
No, that's good.
Yeah. Let me see.
Come on,
Here we
Meso.
go.
Come on, hurry up. Come on.
Sorry, I have to
gosh.
send my files in a certain way, or else it cuts out my internet. If I use Discord's plus feature, it cuts it out. But if I drag it from another window, it doesn't cut it out.
Interesting. Okay, so I don't like this thumbnail you posted for a variety of reasons.
I know you wouldn't.
Yeah, I
know you
hate
wouldn't
it.
like it.
I hate it on principle.
Okay. Before we discuss that, the thumbnail, I just read a comment from the TTV dating one, where they said, let me pull it up again. I want to credit the person.
Okay.
It's this Game Slacker.
What a slacker.
Says, dude, someone should totally make a TTV dating simulator. The ideas are all there. And then Jacob Hanshoe says, man, I was hoping they'd actually talk about Doki Doki, but they didn't, unless that Your Reality at 11:11 was a very sly pun, which it wasn't. They left me hanging for them to talk about it. Really cuts deep that they didn't. Oh well, having it in the thumbnail beats not having it at all. So that one's weird. That one's like they clearly did think it was clickbait, but also weren't offended by it. They're like, having it in the thumbnail is fine.
Yeah, and so yeah, from that perspective, yeah, it is. It's clickbait. From that perspective.
This is true.
So
Anyway, this next one.
I don't think I don't know what the title of the podcast here is or the clip is.
The title of the clip is "Robot Romance Strikes Again."
Okay, I don't think this is clickbait at all. It's hideous. That's all it is.
Well, I don't think we ever talk about Zayn or make any Lego discussion whatsoever, but I don't know because I wasn't on the podcast.
I don't know because I wasn't either.
If I had to guess, because the description says robot romance and building babies make triumphant returns in this week's highlight of the TTV podcast 287. So if I had to just take a guess, it's probably something about how Zayn was built, and then talking about whether robots can love. So that might not be clickbait per se, but it's definitely what I've noticed about all the thumbnails I made during this period where you were gone for these clips is that I would take an image that was discussed in the video and then I would overlay like a second image over it that didn't necessarily have much to do with the video. The Rage Face, Picard, Solek, Purple, if I did make that. I'm going to presume I did. Zayn, etc. And that was just kind of like what was done for a while. And it was for comedy more than anything.
Yeah.
Because no one's going to click on the mockist video because of Picard. I'm not using Picard to try to get
You're trying to convey a particular feeling in the thumbnail. And
yes.
And that's something else to consider. Like, that also makes a bit of sense. Like, you want to kind of set the tone for the video, what one is to expect going into it. And so I do understand.
To just have some fun with stuff.
Yeah. I don't know what it was about our old thumbnails. Like, I just don't understand, but I have a strong nostalgia for our old thumbnails. I'm talking about the ones with the big letters. It's just one picture, and then the big, not letters, the big numbers, and it's it. It just spoke for itself. At Christmas, it was some Christmassy ornaments or decorations or something.
I preferred those as well, if I'm being honest. They were way more stylistic. And it was also way easier to make them.
I like their simplicity. Like New Year's shots of New Year's Kool-Aid, episode 125. That was a long time. That was 4 years ago. It's just fireworks, because presumably we recorded it over New Year's.
Yeah.
I really like those, because they're simple, they're straightforward, they're classic.
Mm-hmm. Put up the next one, which is funny. The next clip.
Oh. Okay, here it is. This is funny.
I love this.
See, okay. Now, I will make an outright exception. I don't think that memes, TTV memes and thumbnails are actually all that bad, because they're usually from something birthed from the discussion that we're having. And then most often Wadon, who is a TTV patron, he will make a meme, he will visualize something, and I feel like this is along those lines. And they're just goofy enough to where they're not really clickbait, because they probably derive from the conversation. They're not sensationalist, because look at this. What's sensational about this? It's just so dorky and funny. I love it. You know, this is harmless.
Okay. Well, the reason this thumbnail exists is because the description states Friday the 13th takes an extreme toll on Meso's computer in this week's clip from TTV 292, and the crew reviews Overwatch Retribution in full. So it's like Overwatch plus Meso suffering, Meso and Overwatch. Boom.
Yeah.
There's the thumbnail.
Yeah, no, I think this is fine. I like this.
All right. Fair enough. Well, that's pretty much about all I have, because then we stopped doing the clips. So the podcast kind of went back to the singular image thumbnails. But the clips were, full disclosure, the clips were during a period of time where we were actively trying to get more visible. If there was ever a period we could have been accused of doing anything even remotely relating to clickbait, it would be during this period, because the whole purpose of doing the clips, it was a decent idea that didn't really work, and it was a lot of extra effort. It was essentially trying to turn the podcasts into a regular series that could have more appeal than a few hundred people. Because not everybody wants to listen to a full podcast. If you do, the links in the description. Some people just want a funny little thing, a funny little segment, a funny little moment. So we would clip out a portion of the video, give it a fancy thumbnail that could be decently incentivizing to click, and then put it out there. The plan epically backfired and was just kind of annoying to deal with, so I made the executive call to stop. But that was the purpose behind it. I found another good one.
Okay.
This one isn't really for clickbait's sake so much. I just find it funny.
I don't know how to feel about this. I won't lie. I don't know how to feel. So,
What's your conflicting emotions?
hey, it's funny. It's funny, but I feel like I know someone who would say that, and so I have, like, I get the impression with the money and the butter, I can hear their voice saying this, and I just have an immediate adverse reaction.
I don't know who was him who said it or not, though.
I don't know either. I just have I just have a thought in my mind.
Well, I made this thumbnail and it took me a while to make it, and I'm very proud of it.
How did this take you a while?
Because I had to find the image and I had to blur it. You see my tacky blur?
Oh my gosh. I wondered what that was. Oh my gosh. Okay.
And then I had to overlay like the money layer. Everybody in the chat question mark, huh? Let's read the description on this one. In this highlight from TTV Podcast 282, Meso makes a rather questionable analogy that prompts a prolonged tangent about butter and its ability to be cut. Yeah.
What did you say?
Does anyone remember this episode?
I don't remember this. Because I wasn't there.
Okay, no. Let me say. I'm going to go listen to it.
No, that's up.
We're talking about YouTube ad revenue in January. And I'm like, if you cut a stick of butter with a knife and then throw half of it into the pot, that's our income.
What?
And then Purple's like, I don't really understand that. And I'm like, so if you chop the butter, half of it goes into the pot and dissolves, and then half of it goes back into the fridge, we lose half of our money.
Oh. Okay.
And then Purple gets pissed at me. It's like, I don't know what it means. And I'm just like, Purple, it's because butter cuts and our money was cut.
Impressive, really, honestly.
We go on like that.
Every day I'm learning how fortunate it was I wasn't on these.
Haley in the chat's like, what? Yeah, I don't know. It could be freaking anything. Any food item could have worked, like a sandwich, a piece of chicken, a pizza. I just chose butter because half of it just disappears.
And see, okay, and look at this. Timmy, I thought this was clickbait in the Bionicle community. This is just TTV roasting TTV. So a few things about that. First of all, this is a part of it. We're curving back around to the broad Bionicle community. However,
yeah,
we're kind of obviously part of it. You know?
We're the, not to boast, sounds like I'm boasting, but we're the most notable Bionicle YouTubers. We have been for a while. There are other people, but they mainly make stop motions. And it's just kind of hard to clickbait a stop motion. You know? When people talk about clickbait in the community, we're the ones who come to mind. Because we do news videos and podcasts and analysis videos. People have always attributed that crime unto us, but honestly, when I'm trying to look back at our content for Bionicle related videos, what?
Oh no, just everyone in the chat going, "This is clickbait! This is clickbait!"
Yeah, this is clickbait. I was here for the Bionicles. Where's the Bionicles? Well, Haley, here's your freaking Bionicles. Here's a thumbnail we made. TTV 185.
Nope. I'm not posting anymore.
It's Pohatu.
Yep, it is Pohatu and Liwa. But
Like, that's
Something-
90% of our content. Realistically, it's like, here's what we talk about: Bionicle summer 2015 set picture discussion, and it's a picture of Bahatu. Like, when you actually look back at our video backlog, that is generally what it mostly consists of. And you mix that up a little bit. If it's Ninjago cast, it's a picture from the show. If it's a mock spotlight, it's a picture of the mock. If it's, an LJ review, it's a picture of the set he's reviewing.
from the
There's
video.
there's not a lot of variation to it to really make a clickbait kind of complaint, except for very, very specific circumstances. And now that we've cycled back to the Bionicle community, let's talk about Vin's most recent eBay controversy.
Yeah, can you
on
get that
eBay
thumbnail
today.
for me? I didn't have the time to snag it.
I don't know where the video even is. I'm trying to find it. How long ago was this again?
Uh,
Oh, I have it.
okay.
I just gotta figure out how to get the thumbnail from
Yeah.
it.
No, it's we'll definitely we're gonna talk about that next. But as far again about the Bionicle community as a whole, because this ties in. That's why I understand why this can be seen as a TTV just talking about TTV, which makes perfect sense. But obviously, we're talking about TTV videos in reaction and in relation to the Bionicle community. There are some. Here's a other issue. There is someone that I mentioned earlier. You might have missed it. I talked about an individual earlier who is another reasonably well-known Bionicle YouTuber. He's done stop motion animation from the time he began to now. He hasn't deviated from stop motion animation ever. And
Except when they nuked the channel
except for when they
for bad content.
nuked a channel just because it was funny and then they got bent out of shape. But he actually, in response, like we mentioned earlier, in response to the Faber stuff, made a video trying to call TTV out, and in the process, it had a false title and false thumbnail. It was actually clickbait because what was in the video wasn't represented by either the title or the thumbnail. So in calling us out for clickbait, he used clickbait to do so. Look in a dictionary under hypocrite, you'll find a picture of him. And it's all just, to get some views. I guess, I don't, so bullying is punching down. But satire is punching up, right? And so I don't know where that clickbait video of his really falls, because the channel has more subscribers, but it's not satirical of anything. Oh, sorry, TTV has more subscribers, but it's not satirical of anything. There's no satire. So it's really confusing.
I didn't feel bullied by the video.
Yeah, I didn't either.
I felt kind of annoyed because there wasn't any substance to it.
Yeah. So, all right, let's talk about this thumbnail. This I would definitely say ruffled some feathers. It ruffled some feathers on the YouTube video, in the comments. It definitely did over on Mask Posting, which is a very large Bionicle Facebook group. What's your take on this thumbnail, Meso?
I mean, I can, full disclosure, I can see why people would kind of tilt some heads at it, right? And, the title of the video was the most expensive Bionicle mask on eBay, with expensive, in all caps, blah, 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 blah. But again, what it all boils down to is it accurate? And in the video, it's an On eBay Today episode. If you've ever watched that show, he talks about stuff that's on eBay. Today. And he only goes over, one item in the video. I think maybe... Okay, no, never mind. He goes over, a few more at the very, very end. But the vast majority of the video, 6 to 7 minutes, is just about this mask and this dude and why he's selling it for this much and why it's so ludicrous. Almost $6,000 for one rare prototype, whatever mask this is. Is it even a prototype?
Okay, so there was a comment on the video that kind of cleared it up, and I'll look at that very briefly. It doesn't matter if it's a
Yeah, I don't know.
prototype or not, because the piece is broken. Like the mask, the two little spokes inside of the mask to stick on the face.
Yeah.
Yeah, those are broken. The mask doesn't work as a mask. It's a non-functioning piece. It's no longer compatible with anything else.
I found the comment. The short of it is, this guy who knows who the seller is, he's sure the prototype is real. He's in contact. The dude is in contact with a Lego factory. The mask was damaged due to disposal procedures, but the seller has no clue about Bionicle. He doesn't know any of the history of prototype selling in the community, and he's just a person who wants to be a seeker of high profit resell. He's not a Lego expert of value, so that's why the price is so inflamed. But like, that's a ludicrous situation. So the fact that Vin capitalizes the word expensive, I mean, number one, I think that is accurate. The expensive is on emphasis, and it's definitely very emphatic. $6,000 for a mask. As far as the arrows are concerned, again, you could say it's sensationalist. You could be correct. I would also say it's very representative towards what he spends the majority of the video talking about, to the degree he talks about it, with as much emphasis as he talks about it, and why the video is made in the first place. So are you really getting any content other than what that thumbnail shows? He didn't even block out the price. If he wanted to be clickbaity, he would hide the price and put a big old question mark over it and make you want to click it to find out, ooh, what is the most expensive Bionicle mask on eBay? I gotta know what the fingers are pointing to, but he doesn't. He leaves the price open.
Mm-hmm.
So you could look at this thumbnail and just not watch the video. You could get everything. You just go on eBay, find the listing yourself, laugh at it, look at the thumbnail, laugh at it. How can anyone sell this stupid mask for $6,000? And then you're done. In a way, that's anti-clickbait. That's anti-watching the video.
Yeah, it's all kind of there.
I get it. I just
also
don't agree
to,
with it in any capacity.
To very briefly clarify, the reason Meso is saying 6,000 is because he's rounding up. It's just easier to say than 5,980 every time. It's just 6,000. Also, there's shipping involved, presumably. Unless this is free shipping, then there isn't. But it's just to make conversation easier. Continue.
No, I was done.
No, okay.
I get it, but I just don't agree with it at all. And
Yeah.
I feel like it's just people wanting to be mad at stuff. Sorry, that's what it is.
I understand. I fall a little into the middle. It's not clickbait. Like, even a good friend of mine posted in the video, and he said it was clickbait. And I disagree with him. I think there's no way that this is clickbait. However, I do agree it's sensationalist because of all the fingers. It's trying to really grab your attention. If I were making this thumbnail, I would have just had the mask and then the price. And then that's it. However, honestly, even this is fine. Like, I see it's kind of a funny thumbnail. It's kind of jovial. It's whatever. I think the biggest issue people might have is it in combination with the title. The most expensive Bionicle mask on eBay? And then it doesn't even have the name of the show in the title, which we often have. I can understand. Maybe, honestly, it's just conditioning at this point. People have come to expect that this kind of a video looking this kind of way is going to bait people into clicking it and just not provide what is being advertised. But then it does. So maybe people are just kind of cautious and skeptical. Like, if anyone is listening that disagrees and that does think it's sensationalist or clickbait, if you disagree, please let us know. Join in.
Yeah.
Be part of the conversation.
I won't put you on blast.
Yeah.
The thing I think it is people just detest stuff like this, not because it's bad, but because they just don't like it, because it's all over the internet, and they've grown disenfranchised with modern internet advertisement, video creation, social media, etc. I think they're just kind of sick of it, and they're expecting that people need to take a stand against video titling and thumbnails like that to show that they have integrity, and that if you make stuff like that, then you follow into the crowd where you essentially have no integrity.
Mm-hmm.
And which is, I get that. But at the same time, you also have to keep in mind from a creator point of view, when you want people's videos to be viewed, you want people to see them, and you're posting it on YouTube, which is a very competitive, hostile climate. Like, why do you think videos are titled the way they are, have the tags that they do, the descriptions that they do, the end cards, wanting you to, smash that like button, wanting you to hit the notification bell, subscribe, etc., etc. It's because people want people to see it. If you don't want people to see your content, then you're doing it wrong. Like, obviously, if you enjoy the content you make, sure, but you want people to see it. Anyone does. It's the matter by which you facilitate that separates the wheat from the chaff, to use that analogy. You could go full on into clickbait, sacrificing your soul for views, or you could just try to use smart but still honest advertisement to survive on the platform, which is what I think a lot of people do, and what we've done most of our time, barring a few exceptions where we've strayed too far in the other direction.
Yeah.
But 9 times out of 10, we're honest to what we present. We just do it in a funny or overly exaggerated manner, which is what this was.
Yeah. My biggest issue is when we're discussing clickbait and what have you, is really when it boils down to, like, for instance, earlier when I was talking about that person who was accusing me of doing clickbait with the last time you were on. When they say that I am lying to people, they are not trying simply to dissuade people from watching the video. They're attacking my credibility and my honesty when it comes to presenting the video. And at the end of the day, what really gets me is claims to integrity or attacks on integrity. Like, I can say that somebody in the Bionicle community lacks integrity. For instance, the earlier YouTuber we were talking about has no integrity to just talk to the people that they dislike, maybe even make amends. They have no interest in that. They just want to make a video actively using clickbait to capitalize on a situation, to try and, punch. I still don't know really which direction it is. And then get some views for themselves. And they end up being a total hypocrite. They come after, during the video, they come after the TTV channel's integrity, their honesty when reporting on things. Because they tried to claim all this different stuff about TTV reporting during Generation 2 leaks and whatnot. Yeah. And it doesn't work. It just doesn't work, because if you're going to go after someone's integrity and their honesty, they have to be dishonest or have no integrity. That's why I can talk about this person and say, yeah, they don't have any integrity, because they use clickbait to, and they use clickbait and the excuse that it's just a joke, it's just satire, guys. I'm just joking. You're clearly not. You're using that as an excuse. And the reason I'm not naming...
It's an attempt to be relevant by backpacking off other people.
Yeah.
They have no voice in the conversation themselves, but they can have a voice by tearing someone else down. Or doing it under the guise of being funny.
And the reason I'm not naming them is not because I don't want to start a fight. I mean, Meso can tell you.
I posted in the comments as well. I'm fine with starting a fight.
Yeah, fair enough. I'm not naming them because I do not want to give publicity to people. I don't want to give attention to people specifically and have people go over there and want to watch the video or want to give them views. Because, fun fact, and I hope that particular people are listening and paying close attention here, anytime you interact with a video, whether you're on the page, whether you watch the video, whether you dislike the video or like the video, that's what's called an interaction. You are interacting with the video. That helps the video out. Anytime you interact with a video on a page, you are helping that video. So if you dislike it, you're just giving it traffic. Just food for thought. That's why I don't really care about likes or dislikes. Like, I thought it was really silly when I was out of TTV and TTV was getting kind of dislike bombed. I thought it was kind of silly to just deactivate the dislike bar.
People treat likes and dislikes on YouTube like freaking Rotten Tomatoes for movies.
Well, I mean,
it doesn't matter in the same way.
It's trying to be an aggregate on the quality of the video, because if a lot of people, it's forming a consensus, and then you can look at it at a glance, but it's easily abused.
My point is, when you're looking for videos, when you're searching for videos, when you're looking at a channel's videos, you don't see likes and dislikes. You only see them when you actually go on the video and see it. And by that point, if you have clicked on the video with the intent of watching it, it's number one, it's already an interaction, and number two, I don't really think that the dislikes would dissuade you from finishing the video if you're that interested in it. If you want to hear what the person's going to say, you're going to do it regardless. So I think it's a foolish metric, and people think it means something. It really doesn't. YouTube is not the same as movie reviews.
No. That's why I don't care. I mean, like, all my videos could have an uneven ratio, and it doesn't matter. It's just a button, and it's an interaction. I don't care. But I leave it up because that's how inconsequential it is. So,
Bombastic Brody asks, speaking of dislikes, why does this have 6 dislikes already? Probably people who hate the Eljay Johnsen Show or hate LJ and just come to the video when it starts to dislike it, just to like think it bothers them.
Yeah. That's why I was very specific. It's like, I hope some people are listening because I got some bad news.
They think it means something.
Yeah.
We just got another one. Lamau. Someone switched from like to dislike. You know, I'm gonna
okay, go for it.
Well,
all right, I'm not gonna bring the video up right now on my end, but once it's public, like once the stream is over and it's public, I'm gonna dislike it as well. Just go ahead, dislike the video. Just if you're listening, let's just nuke it.
I love it.
So, but yeah, back to the Bionicle community. The Bionicle community is a fascinating place. And it's not just in regards to clickbait. It's very multifaceted. And so here's the thing. I remember a time in the Bionicle community where there were 2 websites. You could go to one of these 2 websites. You could go to BZ Power, or you could go to Mask of Destiny. Between those 2, and this is not a bash against Mask of Destiny. I actually really like it as a historical kind of archive. But you go to BZ Power, and that is your hub. That is where you're getting all the Bionicle news, discussion, etc. And it's really good for that. And this goes on for years. You have fun interacting with other members, making new and interesting things, creating different things. YouTube at this time isn't really a deal. And people are just having fun creating and interacting. And just being a part of things. Just enjoying that. Mm-hmm. Nowadays, it's obviously very fragmented, which is not a surprise. It's kind of a double whammy. The advent of social media and the end of Bionicle, obviously enough. And so now you have BZ Power. You have, to an extent, I'm not going to necessarily say that it's a bastion for Bionicle stuff. Greg Farshtey is there, but the TTV message boards. You have Twitter. You have Facebook with mask posting. You have the subreddit. You have all these different threads and all these different sites. And so now you have all these... mention
almost every site having a Discord.
Yeah, exactly. So then you have a branch off of that. And so... you have all these different flavors to the community, and on the one hand, that's really cool. That's really, really cool, because then you can just go around. It's like the United States. Every state is different, so you can go to whichever state you want. All right, I don't like the weather here, and then you move to another. It's like, oh, this is much better, and you move to another. Perfect. then there are all these other different factors. The problem now in the Bionicle community is that it's very competitive and it's very almost hostile. It's very difficult to find a place in the Bionicle community where you can just converse and enjoy the hobby. It usually devolves very quickly into an argument. And it's very... It's not as fun. And it's very unfortunate. Like we've kind of lost the nuance of being polite. And obviously I'm not immune from this. I've been very rude in the past. Sometimes I'm even still rude. And when I'm trying to make a point or something bothers me. Not trying to say, oh, I've never been rude. I am an angel. No, that's not the point I'm making. I'm just saying that it seems that the community nowadays is always looking not to be enjoying, but to be right.
But it's because everybody who's like super earnest and eager at Bionicle has long since like stopped being a part of the community. The ones who have had left are like divided into fans who still want to support Bionicle, and also the like jaded, annoyed older people who just like to troll to ease their own like pain about things. Like we've discussed it before, how the community has like suffered over the years, and that births two types of people: dedicated people who stick around, or people with negative agendas who do it to cope or to have fun because they don't find any merit in Bionicle anymore. All those just people who just like the hobby have like long since either left or morphed into one of those two groups.
Yeah.
So that's why there's always an agenda to the discussion, and I'm not guilty of it either. I can't really talk about Bionicle without talking about the big picture. You know, I can't just have a conversation about why Vakama is such a great character without it devolving into, except for that 05 thing, which Greg himself disagreed with, except it's better done in the novelization, which nobody knows because most people saw the movie because the books weren't advertised because Lego didn't market them. You see what I mean? Like it balloons upwards.
Yeah.
These simple, earnest things that fans would talk about.
I think all of those are good to have a conversation about. I really do.
Of course.
Because I'm going to switch out the image here. I got to find... I'll just go back to you and I. That's fine. I might also make no... We'll see. Anyway. It's like, these are all good things to converse about. It's like, oh, did you know that Greg actually disagreed with that, the writer of the novels? Really? That's fascinating. I think that it actually does work out for these reasons. And, oh, really? Okay, that's an interesting perspective you have. And it just... That's gone. It's more so like you said. So, and it's a shame, because I have such a strong, good memory of the community from, like, whenever I got into it to about 2000, I want to say 2013. And then I have a different experience, which is a lot more hectic. Like, it's still enjoyable from, like, 2014 to 2016. And it's not bad. It's just, it's a lot more hectic because then Bionicle comes back, TTV picks up, more of a spotlight scenario there. And then we kind of come back to YouTube, to the community on YouTube. And I never really liked being called a biotuber. I still don't really like it. I don't think, I'm not... There's got to be something better than biotuber. But you have the community moving to a place where the goal of being there is to create content for people to consume, to view. And so a part of that comes from wanting people to see it and view it. And then you get into the multiple facets of, well, okay, how do I go about getting people to see it? And then we've come full circle to clickbait and sensationalism and so on.
Which isn't even a Bionicle issue; it's an internet issue, period. But we gotta talk about our microcosm, you know.
Yeah, and that's the thing. And it's like, for what it's worth, thankfully, Bionicle YouTubers have not regularly done clickbait. Thank goodness. And that's why I try not to do it, because I see this as a hobby. I don't see YouTube as a job. It's not a career path I'm interested in. I just make things that are fun. Like, I'm having fun. You know?
Yeah, I get that.
Like, and
I want to highlight a comment.
Go ahead.
The Dark Master, the Dark Master. So does Meso always talk about how horrible the fan base is? And then he follows up, Meso always talks about how horrible the fan base is. So I guess you answered your own question with a wrong answer, because the answer is no.
Yeah, I think at the very beginning of this, didn't you say you liked the community? Yeah, the very
did.
beginning of this, you said your favorite thing about Bionicle is the community.
Yeah, and even what I just said, talking about how like the comment thing can balloon. I thrive on that. I live for that stuff. Anybody who knows a thing about me knows that I find like the meta narrative behind any particular thing the most interesting. Like, I don't care about talking about why like Avak is a really well written character, but I'll talk for hours about like why they went with the Paraka as villains and why they all were given their own individual personality versus the horde enemies we've had before, and the advertising campaign behind them, and whether they all had distinct character traits or not. I can talk and have talked for hours about that, but I can't just talk about Avak. So I don't say that's a bad thing when I say that people balloon it. I only bring it up in the example that like the community's long since exhausted those points, and the people who just cared about surface level stuff have kind of either gone or have grown up and evolved into the really dedicated, passionate fans, or the people who have been there and now are just like jaded and sick of everything and tend to be more destructive than not. All those earnest, we just like Bionicle and we want to talk about Bionicle people, they aren't really around anymore.
Yeah. And it's unfortunate. It really is. Because I definitely remember my two favorite subforms on BZ Power were comics and storyline and theories, because then you could really engage with other people and talk to them about all the different things that could happen. Obviously, that's not very possible now, since Bionicle's over. Duh. So, it's a shame.
In essence, it is a shame. But I mean, it's a natural progression of things, and it's also bound to happen with the theme being canceled twice.
Yeah.
Like, honestly, the morale of people, there's only so much the average Joe can take before their opinions start to sour. Like, I know TTV, most of us still like Bionicle, but like with VAR, it's very difficult for VAR to have a conversation about Bionicle without remembering the fact that it got canceled, without remembering all the stuff we went through with our channel, without remembering how badly and how disrespectfully the G2 cancellation was handled, and then about the fandom and how it coped afterwards, and then our whole the G3 project. Like, it's very difficult to separate all that and just focus on the memories of how he felt reading the last comic. At a point, your own experience with the project gets piled down with all your own personal experiences.
Yeah.
If that makes any sense. But it's a matter of how you handle that separates you from like a good community member or a bad one. Like, VAR doesn't like Bionicle that much anymore, but you don't see him making a bunch of videos about why anyone who does is trash, and Greg Farshtey is trash.
Oh gosh.
He's a terrible person. For giving us our story content.
I cannot have conversations with modern Bionicle community members anymore.
Because they all hate Greg.
Because they all, it's even if it wasn't a decision he made, it doesn't matter. I've had people say, it doesn't matter. It's probably Greg's fault. I can guarantee you it's Greg's fault. It's like, no, you can't. I can tell you what Greg has said. I can show you quotes. I can show you clarifications he has made. And yet it doesn't matter. They just, Greg has become a scapegoat for things that people don't like. And that you can't have a conversation with that. You just can't. So,
It's very frustrating.
yeah. It's like, listen, did Greg do things that aren't good for the Bionicle story? Yes. Yes, he did. Did he also campaign to have it last longer than a year? And campaign to have the Toamata have individual personalities? And write all the novels, most of the novels, and be on message boards and forums answering questions, something he wasn't paid to do? Yeah, he also did. He did a lot of good, did a lot of bad, and that's the thing. It's like people just talk about him with these polarizations, and it's very frustrating. So
Yeah.
In any case, is there anything else you'd like to say on the subject of clickbait, Mesa?
Honestly, not really. I think that it can definitely be done badly, but I definitely think people's legitimate criticisms kind of blend together with their own feelings about the internet in general to the point where they confuse them, if that makes any sense. Like with Ven's video. Like you can look at Ven's eBay video and then look at the Logan Paul TTV video. And you can't say they're both the same kind of clickbait. You have to acknowledge that there's a difference, first of all, and then pick the one that you think is truly bad. It's either false advertising or sensationalism, and I'll go with the false advertising being the worst thing every time. Sensationalism, you have a preference, but there's nothing wrong with it so long as it's honest.
Yeah, I can agree with that.
That is my ending point on that particular topic, and most of ours has been most. Not all. Most.
I feel like now just probably isn't the right time to discuss Lego General YouTube channels and Lego General YouTubers. You don't have the familiarity that I do.
Nope.
I'd love to talk about that, so I'm going to have to bring someone on to discuss it. Some channels. So, to get kind of a dichotomy here, I'll make a couple of recommendations. First of all, I'd like to recommend Beyond the Brick. They're an excellent Lego YouTube channel. I don't think I've ever seen them use sensationalism or clickbait. They just cover a bunch of great stuff regarding the Lego hobby. It's wonderful. They're both great people. They're all of them are great people. Not even just the Hanlons. They're all wonderful people. They just have fun. They enjoy what they do, and they bring to you all sorts of really fascinating, unique mocks and fan interactions and news and all sorts of great stuff. Now, just on the other hand, Just Too Good, he also presents the news in a very personalized way. Now, he is someone that a lot of people could say his thumbnails fall under sensationalism along with his titles. And I think that's an argument to be made. It's very individual. It's very personalized. But I'd like to see what a lot of people think. I think Justin, Just Too Good, he does a really good job with his videos. I think they are accurate videos. He gives his points of view. But I think there's also an argument to say that they're sensationalist. And it just boils down to whether or not you think that's a good or a bad thing.
I want to do a week on TTV where we give in to the haters. Just totally give in and name every video, just completely honestly. The TTV podcast, episode 326, recorded on July 20th, 2019. LJ's recap review, or I guess LJ's whatever.
I wouldn't even call it a recap review. I'd just say, man talks about Lego set, and then the set number and name.
Yeah, eBay listing discussed, and then date recorded. Just be completely transparent about it. Give absolutely no kind of leading whatsoever.
Yeah. So, all right, you want to get some questions?
Yeah, I mean, I usually like to do my state of the Bionicle community thing, but there really isn't much that's changed since last time besides Faber.
Yeah.
And that's inconclusive as of yet.
Careful, Mesa.
Just
careful.
Okay.
Clickbait Faber.
Oh yeah, it's true. I can't say that. I
Yeah.
can't say anything. Faber posted something on Instagram. I can't say anything else related to Bionicle
No,
or
no, no,
Lego.
no, no, no.
Could be misconstrued.
Man posts image on Instagram. That's it. That's the title of the video.
Posts letters on Instagram.
No, we're gonna shorten it down even more. Man uses Instagram.
I love it. Oh boy.
Goodness.
Boy, oh boy.
Jeez. Oh yeah, let's get
But
some
yeah.
questions.
Yeah, I would do my all cautionary speech, but it's already been done. Just be careful about your hype. That's all.
Yeah. All right.
Question time.
Opening up questions. I'm going to be selective. Opening up questions to the YouTube live chat and moving over to emails because we do have some. Greetings to both of you. This is from Nocturnal Turtles, which is a great name.
What's up?
Greetings to both of you, the yin and yang of the Bionicle community. Don't know if I'd call us that at all. But I'm flattered. While my question does not have to do with Lego, I still sincerely hope you'll take it into consideration. I've heard in previous podcasts both Meso and yourself mention that you used to play, or at least have a passing interest in the Call of Duty games. With that being said, what are your guys' thoughts on the upcoming title and expected return to form for the series, Modern Warfare? Keep up the great work. Can't wait until Brick Fair, Nocturnal Turtles.
Oh boy.
I don't know.
You want to go first? Or you want me to?
You can go first.
My interest in Call of Duty is minimal, but it hasn't always been that way. I used to enjoy it quite a fair bit. I've played Modern Warfare 1 and 3, Black Ops 1 and 3, Advanced Warfare, and yeah, that's basically it. I haven't really played much else besides that, so you can notice a trend there. I tend to skip the second games and things. Usually because I'm burnt out by playing the first one, and by the time the third one rolls around, I've had enough of a break. That's kind of how it works. But no, Call of Duty is fun. I've sunk a lot of time into it over the years. I think the one I've sunk the most time into was probably Modern Warfare 3. Back when we played that all the time. Back when that game was new. Secondarily being Black Ops 1. It's entertaining. It fell into the trap with every single game being basically the same, with very little advancements. Then they responded to that critique by making advancements and putting the series into a futuristic setting that allowed for more varied weapon types, more varied movement, etc. And then everyone hated that because it just kind of sucked and didn't really fit the franchise and was very derivative and unfun. So now they've dialed it back completely to how it used to be, where it's very realistic and grounded with no jetpacks or double jumps or futuristic stuff. It's just a take on Modern Warfare, which is why the next game is Modern Warfare. But it's not Modern Warfare 4. It's a reboot using the same characters. And from the tiny little pieces of gameplay footage they've showed off, it does look fairly impressive. They're on a new engine, so it doesn't have that tried and true COD look. It has a bit of a different visual style that I can get behind, and it feels like there's more weight to the movements that might make it feel a bit more authentic than the run and gun superhero shooter that COD kind of became known for. I'm not going to say I'll buy it, but I'll certainly give it a chance.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah, no, I will not be giving it a chance because I'm kind of done with COD. I got into COD with Modern Warfare 4. Modern Warfare 1, Call of Duty 4. I thought that was excellent. I thought it was a really fun game. It was one of my first real introductions to multiplayer shooters. And then Black Ops, I greatly enjoyed. Modern Warfare 3, I greatly enjoyed. And then it kind of peters off after that. And so most of the other Call of Duty games that have come out recently have not interested me at all, because Halo and Call of Duty kind of wanted to become one another, and then they didn't really become either, because they kind of just made a middle ground between what they are, and it wasn't very fun to me. And I don't know anything about this yet to really suggest it will be fun either. So I'm going to wait and see, but probably not.
They've shown a frustratingly little amount of gameplay footage from it.
Yeah.
And I don't know why.
Yeah. So. Okay. Next email question is from Niels A. Anderson, who asks, Hey, Meso. Nice to see you on the show again. I always like the synergy you and LJ create, so I know this podcast is going to be exciting. Question: since Brick Fair is coming up, and you guys mentioned there's going to be a Bionicle the game with Meso, can we have LJ put his Miru on Meso whenever he says it's a dumb mask? Otherwise, the title of this message will be clickbait. Also, this is a bit off topic, but has LJ made the thing he was supposed to after Kiri was revealed to be the ultimate detective? Can't remember if that became a thing. Anyway, hope you have a good day.
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
I like that.
Okay, alright. I wasn't sure.
What'd you say?
So, okay, you totally missed the question.
I heard the question. What'd you say?
Oh, no, I didn't say anything yet. Well, I'll address a couple of things. First of all, the title of the email is Meso appears on the Eljay Johnsen Show, Gone Wrong, Miru Wearer Exposed. Which is funny.
I love it.
So, as far as the Miru, putting a Miru on you every time you say it's a dumb mask while we play Bionicle the game, I will not be bringing my Miru. It will not be present with me this year. As for the other one, the thing I was supposed to make after Kiri was revealed to be the ultimate detective. So I offered Meso two options. Either I could make the video, or I could just gift him PUBG.
This is the worst trade of my life.
And he went for the latter option, so I didn't even need to worry about it.
He bought me PUBG, which I hate, but it saved me some money. So
Saved you some money, and it saved me some grief.
Grant Ward music video one day.
Not from me.
We'll have it. I'll use it as another wager material in the future. Go on, next question.
Well, those are the email questions, so that's it. So now we're moving on to the YouTube comments, and to everyone who is saying that we don't respond to the comments and that we don't read them.
Oh, we do.
You're entirely wrong. Not only am I watching it in real time, but the way this works, and I know that some of the people have watched this show before, so they should be very well aware that this is the way it works. Emails take priority, then I move to the YouTube live chat. That's how it goes. Okay, so let's go ahead and get some of the YouTube live chat questions going. I got to scroll up a little bit. So the first one is from Nether Ivipero. I know I'm mispronouncing that. Who asks, LJ, will there be the Lego Fan Hunter this year at Brick Fair? Maybe? I don't know.
Do it.
I'll say possibly, in the sense that I might do a video with the Lego Fan Hunter in it. However, it probably will not be at the convention. So I'll say tentatively. The Dinosaur Planet asks, what is your favorite HF theory? Signed, the HF prequel guy, the Dinosaur Planet.
What's up? LJ, do you have a favorite HF theory? You.
Oh, gosh. Well, there was a good theory at some point that I recall hearing about. It was like, it was something that Greg had discussed wanting to do, like a lot of the political intrigue surrounding Makuhiro and HF and in the galactic sphere of things. I don't remember the specifics, but otherwise, no, not really. You?
My favorite theory is that HF actually has a really good, deep plot in the story Bible that was going to rival Bionicles and be super interesting. And I call it a theory because there's no evidence for it.
Christian Favor.
Looking at you, Christian Favor. One day, share the Bible with us that you claim you have, please. I want to see your vision. I love HF, but I want to see how it actually was supposed to be, if that is how it was supposed to be.
Yeah. All right, fair enough. Okay, next one's from Biomatty 204. LJ, are you gonna raid Area 51? Messa, are we gonna raid Area 51?
Let's do it.
No.
We'll build a giant tower made of dirt blocks and then a bridge to leap over its faction protection. That's a Minecraft joke.
Okay, fair enough. I like that. Maybe we are. I don't have any plans on it. I'm gonna be busy.
I'll pencil it in.
Okay, fair enough. So one of us will, one of us won't. Okay, the Dark Master asks, to both of us, who do you think is the Forsaken Emperor? Who do you think the Forsaken Emperor is from Ninjago?
I think it is some guy. And I mean that quite literally. I don't think it's anyone we know. I don't think it's Zane. I don't think it's going to be anybody of any importance. I think it's going to be some villain from Ninjago's past who was passed up for the emperorship in favor of somebody else. So he rebelled and got like frozen or something. I think it's just going to be a villain. I don't think there's anybody whose identity it was. People started speculating it was Zane because Zane was the first one who leaked with the Forbidden Spinjitzu suit. So people were like, oh, it's going to be Evil Zane. But no, that was later confirmed to be everybody, and the Forsaken Emperor has a separate minifigure that looks nothing like Zane. It's a friggin' zombie guy. So, no, it's a no-name. It's just some dude.
Fair enough, yeah. No, I also do not have any theories pertaining to who it could be, but I'm curious to find out. I've been enjoying the show. Timmy asks, thoughts on the hashtag Bring Back National Dex movement?
Oh boy.
So this is a Pokemon thing, and I grew up on Digimon, so I have no dog in this fight.
Short version, the situation, for those who don't know, is the new Pokemon games, Pokemon Sword and Shield, will not feature all of the Pokemon from the past. You won't be able to catch them, you won't be able to trade for them, you won't be able to get them in the game at all, sans a small selection that will be part of the Pokédex for the new region. So essentially they're culling like potentially over half of the Pokemon from their past, reasons given being art assets, balancing, wanting to make people use new stuff, etc. My answers are twofold to this, as someone who only minimally cares about Pokemon. Number one, I get it from the perspective of wanting people to use new content and not stick to their old and use their friggin' Charizard for 2 decades. That might get a bit stale. On the other hand, when the tagline of your game is gotta catch them all, and it's physically impossible to catch them all, something says to me that there may have been a mistake made somewhere along the line.
Mm-hmm.
So I lean more towards it being a negative thing, and I find Game Freaks, their first inclination being to double down in stubbornness rather than address any feedback or offer to put them in through DLC. It shows an unwillingness to listen to the fan base, which means they've pretty much made up their mind, which means this is how it's going to be for every game going forward. So if you just like this on principle, time to jump ship from Pokemon, because it's not going to change. Those are my thoughts.
Fair enough. All right. Got to scroll back up. Okay. Next question is from Zabla, who asks, why do you think Greg ever continued the serials outside copyright? Do you think that was the only reason? And also, do you think he will ever, or do you think he ever will, or thinks about it, ever will finish them?
So the question's asking, why do we think he never continued the serials?
Well, why did he continue them, and why did he never finish them?
Well, he didn't continue them. So.
Well, why did? Well, okay. Well, let me see.
I think that's what he's.
Well, yeah, no. Continued the serials after Bionicle ended is the inference I have. Zabel, cool. Please correct us if we're incorrect in that.
No, I'm sure that's right. It's just, yeah, I think primarily the reason at first was that he lost his hub where he would post them. Like, Bionicle story went down. So even if he wanted to do them, even if he had the free time to do them, he no longer could do them in a place that was officially sanctioned. If he did it on a fan site, it wouldn't be recognized as official, and it could potentially be a conflict of copyright. It would basically be treated as fan fiction about an intellectual property, which I presume there's some clause against doing. I say that fully recognizing that Tommy Anderson, who worked on Ninjago, has an ongoing Ninjago fan fiction that is going on his Twitter called Way of the Departed. So I don't know if that's true or not. I'm just speculating. Honestly, what I think it is after a certain point, after so many years had passed, and he knew that G2 was in the pipeline, probably from an early point, he was probably either strongly discouraged from continuing it because the fact they were bringing it back, and Lego probably didn't want two conflicting Bionicles out there, or he felt it was best to not have two conflicting Bionicles out there and just let people enjoy the new one. And if he was told about that early on, whilst also dealing with his own personal busy schedule, the Ninjago graphic novels being shoved off BZ Power due to the age restriction, not being able to communicate with fans anymore, and losing Bionicle story, it was probably a big old cavalcade of reasons that piled on to him not doing it anymore. And after G2 crashed and burned, there's probably even less of a reason to do it because it's been so long. It's been like 9 years since it ended. I doubt he ever will go back to it, but he obviously still thinks about it because he still answers questions.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I think he still thinks about it. I'm sure he still cares about it to an extent. I don't know to what extent that is. I'd love to ask him about it. Full disclosure, I've invited him onto the show very, very, very recently. So whether or not I will hear back is up in the air. It would be wonderful to have him on. So we will see. But I'm sure he still cares. Yeah, he is still on the TTV message boards answering questions. Not as frequently as he did on BZP, but that's understandable. Additionally, I don't actually think that the reason is because of the hub. The many deaths of Toa 2 yet was posted directly to BZ Power in 2007.
Forgot about that.
Directly there. So I don't think it's a matter of hub. Honestly speaking, I'd love to inquire if, he had the time and if Lego permitted it. I'd love to see if he would be interested in hosting them on the TTV message boards. Though, that's a discussion for another day and another time. So yeah, as far as why he continued them after Bionicle ended, I know why. Lego allowed him to do so, and I'm sure Lego wanted him to for a bit to appease the fans who had stuck by the franchise for so long. So here, you might not be getting any more products, but at least there's this. I'm sure that's the reason why. I also make claim that if the serials were allowed to finish, I can't guarantee it. I assure you, I am confident. There we go. I am confident people would actually like them. I actually think people would really enjoy them if I think that they were to go the way that I would assume he intended them to. My main, the Yesterday Quest, or no, not the Yesterday Quest, the Powers That Be, I believe it was, where Pohatu and Kopaka went up to the Red Star. I suspect people would have actually liked that, because the big issue was that all of the characters are up on the Red Star, and that kind of narratively takes away death as a final end. However, Greg mentioned he wanted that story to be zombies on a satellite. Zombies. There are two ways to interpret that. Either A, literally dead and then come back to life, or mindless husks.
Yeah, which I'm sure is what it was going to be.
Yeah. Mavra is the only one that, well, was he revived? Was he not? But, I don't know. So, yeah, we'll see. Okay.
All right.
Next question. 2 questions from Bionic Kasai. 1, LJ. Whatever terrible fate to my email invitation to the, whatever terrible fate has my email invitation to the Eljay Johnsen Show suffered? So about that, so fun fact, I actually do have a lot of submissions to be on the show, and it's not like I'm actively ignoring them, it's just there's a lot, I really do a lot to balance who I have on, when, and about what. So I'm trying to balance Bionicle guests and subjects with general Lego and system subjects. It doesn't always work out, but I try because this is supposed to be about the overall hobby. But I understand that, obviously I've been involved in Bionicle. It's only natural. So, I will get to it. I will say that. Bionicle asks you, what do you think of my recent bootleg reviews, if you have seen them since you
I saw
wanted
you
them?
posted them when you mentioned earlier.
Okay, so you are aware of them. Good.
Yes, I saw you mentioned earlier in the chat. It was like you finally did what I asked for like almost a year or two ago. I was like, yeah, I saw that. Sweet. I gotta actually watch it. I saw you post it. I haven't seen it all the way through, but I commend you for buying every single one of those monstrosities. Honestly, well done. Someone has to take the hit. I say that jokingly, but like Deadpool and Black Panther are cool. But Thanos is a monstrosity. But we can agree on that.
Yeah, that's fair. Okay, scrolling up again and then scrolling down a little bit. Okay, Sakota asks, one question about the clickbait. Not that it changes if the video was clickbait, which it definitely wasn't, IMO, but is your channel even monetized, LJ? I never got an ad. So yes, the channel is monetized. It's been monetized for a while. And keep in mind, I obviously don't care very much about it because it's monetized, but it's still just a hobby. I'm obviously not looking to make this, the big cash earner. It is monetized. However, I do not monetize the live streams while I am streaming, because then you will get ads and that disrupts the experience, and then you miss out on stuff that is happening or going on. So as I post them, after I post them, they're monetized. But when I'm streaming, they are not, because I want to retain the good viewing experience. And then honestly, if you use ad block, I don't blame you. I use ad block, so go ahead. All right, back up, and then right back down, because I scroll up for the questions and I come back down to go through them. Da, 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 da. Da, 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 da. There we go. Wombat Combat Pictures asks, are you guys or anyone else from TTV displaying any mocks at Brick Fair, Virginia? First of all, good sir, I'm excited to see you there. Secondly, I think I'm not displaying any mocks because I'm involved in a lot of the activities. But Meso, aren't you?
I think I'm bringing a few. I need to find them. There were a few I wanted to bring, but I'm not sure in what states of repair they are right now. So I won't make any promises for me. I'm pretty sure Vin will be bringing some, as he always does. The TTV roster, I think, will make another appearance. But I would like to bring some of my own.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah, no, that sounds about right. Because yeah, I know I'm not. I usually do just a couple of them, but I'm not. Well, okay, no, that is incorrect. I'm bringing one. Because I need to finish this. This is another question. I'm just going to kind of answer it now. I am still working. It's not done yet, but I hope to have it done in time for Brick Fair. So I hope to have it there. I'm still working on a mock of... Oh, gosh. His name is escaping me. This is awful. Oh, no. I forgot. Oh, gosh. Hang on. Maybe I can find the question. He's a former guest of mine. Come on, where is it? Come on. Oh, gosh. Yeah, I cannot remember the name of him. let me look very quickly. I apologize. This is terrible. He's a mockist, and he does mock related videos, and it's always very good. It's always excellent. Come on, YouTube is loading very slowly. Kasi, thank you, Wombat. It's Kasi. Yeah, I'm still working on the mock of him. I hope to have it done. I even brought my Mark Surge, down from a storage area to use that mask. So I hope to bring that. Otherwise, nothing else. All right, let's keep going.
All right.
Cubic asks, how big of a role does the Biotube community play in the fandom? I feel it's gotten a bit detached, excluding some of the podcasting groups. Also, thoughts on drama in general for the mocking community. I don't know on it. This is difficult for me to really comment on because we're not heavily into the mocking community. We We got a little too close to the sun there with Biogram, I guess it's called.
Hashtag Vince sucks.
Yeah, back in 2017. So that was a very unpleasant experience. And if I had to say anything about the drama there, I can, if it's anything like the experience we had, it's awful. It's petty and it's stupid.
In essence, yeah. Mm-hmm. The other half of the question, I feel like it answers better. How big of a role does the BioTube community play on the fandom? I would say it's all the role. Now it's 100% the fandom, because Bionicle has we're about to hit 10 years since we had G1, and we're about to hit 5 years since we had G2. Well, maybe not since we had it. 4 years since we had G2. So I feel like at a point you have to be like, it's all been discussed to death. The community holds the torch now, which is what I've tried to talk about numerous times in the past. So when the community turns toxic, the whole fandom turns toxic. When the community is good, the whole fandom is enriched by the creations and the projects and stuff. And it elevates Bionicle into a sense of positivity. If nobody's doing anything, everyone hates Bionicle, everyone's fighting, and nobody's constructive, then the whole fandom suffers. Because it's not like we're getting new Bionicle content to rejuvenate anyone at this point. We are what we are, and it's up to us to make it good or bad.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah, that sounds about right. Okay. Going to move along. Why haven't I been saying move along this whole time?
Oh, no.
Okay. There we go. Got it. T-Licon asks, Meso, what is the best season of S.H.I.E.L.D.?
Oh, boy.
That's what he asked.
Well, first of all, RIP. Because secondly, it's my belief that S.H.I.E.L.D. gets better every year. I think that Season 1 was flawed, but overall good. Season 2 elevated the storytelling. Season 3 added in a lot of cool like superpowers and some really emotional sub-arcs. Season 4 was just fantastic overall. It had some really high highs, like the latter half. Season 5 overall is probably my favorite, even though it was plagued by budgetary issues, simply because of how creative they got with the story, how they put all the characters into very difficult, contrasting personal situations that were really difficult to like weigh the morality of, and it made for some really interesting story beats and just some of the best like VFX I've ever seen in a TV show. Mm-hmm. Coupled with some of the most emotional moments I've ever seen in a TV show. Season 6 to be determined. If it continues on the route it's going, it will not be my favorite, so that cycle will be broken, but it could surprise me in the 11th hour. Who knows? Do you have an opinion, Eljay? What's your favorite season?
I really don't. I have not seen them as many times as you, so I don't have as good of a grasp.
Fair enough.
So, or Kume asks, Hoi, Meso and Eljay. Any LEGO history / trivia channels that you recommend? I love trivia, and I've been needing to fill my need for general stuff on that. So...
Not personally. You might.
Yeah, I do. So it doesn't really fall into the history. So there are videos that are good for history or trivia. Like, oh gosh, Nerderator. Look up 107 facts about Bionicle. That channel. They do really good trivia stuff, and they have a slew of LEGO-related videos. As far as trivia and history, this doesn't really... I know what you're looking for. This doesn't fall necessarily into that category. But Bricksmith, over on YouTube, Bricksmith, he does a series with Kevin Hinkle called Forever Sorting. And it's where Kevin is kind of going through his time, his 12 years at the LEGO company. And it's very fascinating. It's very interesting. Of course, it's Kevin and Bricksmith. And it's really good. So I definitely recommend them. So, I need to have Bricksmith on. I invited him, but we haven't talked in a while. And I need to inquire. All right, Bionicle Lives, or Bionicle Lives, I'm not sure. Asks, isn't it technically clickbait that the TTV podcast episodes are titled TTV, given that That implies that all of TTV are there, but almost never all of the hosts are present. Burn the witches!
Oh my god.
You got us. You caught me. Yep.
Well,
Oh, boy.
that's a good point.
Jeremy Jason asks, at Meso, who would win in a fight? LJ versus Venom.
They fought.
Mm-hmm.
We have
Yeah.
video of this. Who
No, we
won
do
that
not
fight?
have video of this. We don't have
I have
video.
video. I have video of it.
I've never seen it.
All right.
Channel
It's on Dropbox.
Frederator. That was it. Thank you. Anyway, yeah, we have. We had a wrestling contest, and I won. Twice. So, there you go.
There you go.
Also, Jeremy asks, how's the mock of Kasi coming along? It, like I said, still in the works. I have another 10 days to make it. I've assembled the parts roughly. I just need to figure out how to build it. So, and it's going to be Kasi, his color scheme, as a kangaroo, like we agreed on. So, the Dark Master asks, have you seen the leaked episode? Referring to Ninjago, we've not. We haven't.
Not yet, no.
Right now, we have not. Bionicle Lives / Bionicle Lives asks, oh, I've got a quick one. Are either of you familiar with the relatively new Wall of History page that has been advertising on Twitter for their new project? Are you?
Not particularly, no.
I know of them. I'm familiar enough with them to know I've seen them around. I haven't investigated too heavily into what they are, but I want to. So I will do that. So,
Solid.
all right. Let me see here. Gotta scroll back up. We're almost done. I'm gonna make a few concessions. So, because we're gonna be departing here briefly. The Dinosaur Planet asks, are you glad we didn't get the pre-Maori story in G1 because we can enjoy it today? Based on the recent Matanui rebuilt game. I'm glad we got the G1 story, but I would prefer pre-Maori.
I mean, I don't ever like to speculate about all that because it could have been good. It also could have been terrible.
Yeah.
Just because it sounds interesting on a page doesn't necessarily mean the plot would have held up. But it could have been great. But I don't know. So I just kind of like to treat it as judging what we got. I don't really have a preference against the Bionicle that we received or for the pre-Maori influences. So I have a non-opinion.
Yep, I will agree. I just know I like 2001. So, Takanuva03 asks, LJ, what are your thoughts on Minecraft Earth? It looks interesting. I think it looks very interesting, though I don't know if I would play it, because I like normal Minecraft as it stands. And the only VR anything, or AR I should specify, anything I'm interested in right now is Hidden Side. So, let me see here. Bionicle Lives / Lives says, at Meso, I just finally finished my first Bloodborne run 2 nights ago. I know you're a Souls fan. Have you played Bloodborne? If yes, do you have a favorite and least favorite boss?
I have played Bloodborne for about 45 minutes before my PS4 overheated and hasn't turned back on in 7 months. And I've been too lazy to go get it looked at or fixed or investigate why it's not working. But I do like it, and I have a feeling the more I play of it, it will be my de facto favorite Soulsborne game.
Alright, fair enough. Cool. Okay. And back up. Zabla asks, follow-up question. Is it also your guys' hopes and dreams that Greg Farshtey will still continue the serials after 9 years?
Not at this point. It would be interesting, but I don't know. Like, maybe, I say no, but it might be cool to finally have a definitive ending. I just don't see those plot threads so many years later being able to be continued, especially since we know the twists already, because he's told us everything he was planning on doing. It feels like a lot of the punch, a lot of the impact has been robbed of that. I would sooner just leave it as it is.
Yeah.
What I would prefer is if he decanonized all the serials he did post Samad's Tale, like the Powers of Being, the Yesterday Quest, just yeet them out of canon and leave the rest of things like as they are. That's what I would prefer. But we're not going to get that.
So I am of two minds. On the one hand, yes, I actually do want him to finish them, because then it's one less complaint for people to lob. That way it's like, oh, you never finished the serials. They're done. You happy? No? Unfortunate. The other part of me is a little cynical. And the cynicism suggests not only finishing them, but doubling down on all the things people don't like. Just as kind of a way of because here's the thing, I'm not saying that necessarily because I want him to ruin it, but people don't like the Red Star. People don't like Bota Magna or Velika. And honestly, I'd like him to just double down on that. Because from a narrative perspective, some of those things don't work as well. But from a story perspective, from an in-universe perspective, they do. And so I would actually, the cynical part of me wants him to just not budge on those whatsoever, and then finish them. But I would not mind seeing them complete. I think people would dislike them less. So. Okay.
Fair enough.
We're almost there. Oh gosh. Okay. Retrozade asks, question, have any relatives ever given you a bootleg of any kind as a gift? As one time I got a brick soldier for my birthday once. That's funny.
Boring answer, but nope.
Also boring answer, no. Zabla asks, LJ, you should add super chat. People could donate that way. I certainly appreciate it. Certainly appreciate the consideration. I might as an option. However, I must stress, making money off of this YouTube channel is not a priority. It's never been a priority. It's certainly nice, you know, it's a little pocket change here and there, but I don't want to push that at all. That's a reason I don't have, you know, merch, sweet YouTuber merch. I don't really want to be putting out products for people to consume, like hats and shirts. There isn't a demand for it, obviously enough, but I also would like to just keep the experience to you all get to enjoy watching the videos, and I get to enjoy making them. And that's basically how I like to keep it. So, but again, maybe one time, maybe I'll just flip the switch on it, but it's really not a priority. So, okay.
Fair enough.
To the end. Tree of Four Productions asked, Meso, are you my brother's doppelganger?
Yes, it is I. Doppelganger neck. Nice to meet you.
AO asks both of us, what is some advice you have for dealing with the haters out there?
I think number one is to be self-aware and to attempt to be able to take criticism. Because not everybody who disagrees or has a contrasting viewpoint is out to hate on you. There is a level of maliciousness that comes with that, and I've met many people who are malicious that I would call haters. I think step number one is realizing that that bettering yourself often comes from taking the advice and critique of your peers. As for malicious haters who don't seek to better you but only tear you down, I think that understanding motives will help you deal with them. And when you realize that odds are whenever people just go after someone to tear them down and make them feel like trash and just try to destroy them, it's like that age-old adage about bullies. They're doing it because they crave the power. At one point in their life, maybe even right now, they don't have power, so they seek to inflict it on other people.
Yeah.
And realizing that takes takes a lot of the hurt away
Yeah.
when you realize that they're not really worth listening to because they're trapped in a cycle of their own making.
Yeah.
All you need to worry about is not continuing that cycle yourself.
Yeah. So it goes a little beyond just, like a lot of people say, just ignore it. And there is something to that. Like a lot of these people are looking for a reaction out of you. Just don't give it. Like, I cannot stress enough. Just don't. It's just not worth it. Especially on social media. It doesn't do you any good. Now, obviously, you can just block people and mute them and whatnot. As far as malicious intent is concerned.
Yup.
Meso, I'm going to echo what he just said. Of course. Everyone is doing their own thing. Everyone, they are at different points in life. And I think a lot of the people that, for instance, from my perspective, a lot of the people that really go after me and bag on me, they're dissatisfied with things. And this isn't my way of trying to say, oh, they're just losers. They're dissatisfied. They're looking for an outlet. They're trying to have fun, and their fun is to be a nuisance. And I think some people that are, still to this day very anti-TTV, that are very obsessed with TTV and constantly wanting to be like, come on, TTV, come on, bring it on. I think they legitimately have some issues with obsession. Like, if they're still making videos about us, particularly clickbait ones, then I seriously wonder. But, yeah, just have a little bit of perspective. Just realize everyone is at... just they're at different stages of things, and sometimes they're not perfectly in the control of their lives that they want to be in, so they try and take it out on you. And just don't let them. Just
Essentially.
don't focus on that. This is something a lot of people I know have kind of succumbed to. Like, they just focus too much on the negatives. Like, anytime I want just a good old pick-me-up, I go to the comments of Biocraft, the recap finale, for instance. It's just, there's so many nice things. So many nice things from a lot of people that took the time to say nice things. It takes a lot more energy to say something nice about someone else than it does to say something mean. That's why a lot of our Ninjago casts recently have been shorter, because we're just saying things we like, and it's a lot shorter. It doesn't take as much to say things that we like about something, but then we can really delve into things we don't. So, I just do not give the energy to people that are just trying to punch down or tear you down.
Essentially.
So,
I think
right.
it's a good place to leave it. A good inspirational message.
Yeah, honestly, I agree. I think that's probably good.
Actually, wait, one more comment. Not a question, but a comment.
Okay.
Bionicle lives. I enjoy that LJ's cynicism is still more optimistic than Meso's optimism. Pretty much. that is accurate, yes. That's very accurate. What can I say?
Oh, goodness.
It's me.
No. All right, Meso. It's been fun. It's been a good time. Where would you like people to follow you on social media?
Follow me on my MySpace at Blazing.
Okay.
My MySpace is my most active.
And he cut out. That's Tom from MySpace coming in with a vengeance.
Oh, did I lag out? Oh,
yeah,
no.
you did.
So my MySpace is my most active social media platform. You can only find me over there, and when I do Hero Factory reviews, they'll be MySpace exclusives.
Okay, so I know where to forward all of the comments on my reviews to.
Yes, essentially. That's been a recurring thing. We're both aware people want Hero Factory reviews. I should be the one to do them, whether I will or not. Depends on my own productivity.
Yeah. Yes,
But for now, follow me on my Twitter. You can see me retweet everything. At Mesonak.
Is it at Mesonak?
It is.
Oh, okay, fair enough. Alright, cool. I'll put that in the description below then.
Sweet.
Alright, let's take off. I have not eaten since earlier in the morning.
That's a problem. Why do you do this to yourself?
Oh, come on. This is far more rare than it was.
Why do you do this?
All right. I'll
Have
mess
a good
up.
one, everybody.
Thank you very much for being here.
I look forward to my one more appearance. I'm allotted for the year.
That is correct. You got one more. But the year's almost over, so then it's going to... What you need to do what Nick Voss did. Is he used up I think he used a good majority of his appearances this in 1 year. And so he was my last guest of 2018, and then he was my first guest of 2019.
Wow, really?
Yeah, that works.
Or you can just give me that sick TTV extension.
Nope.
Give me 4 appearances so I can boost your view count.
Nope.
Drats.
Sorry, buddy. I'm treating
Foiled again.
everyone with the same fairness. No
Fair enough.
No exceptions. I can see myself making an exception to the day, but not the amount.
Fair enough.
Okay. So, that'll be it. Thank you all so very much for listening. Hopefully you had a good time. If you disagree, obviously, leave your disagreements in the comments. I read them all. If you disagree, that's perfectly fine. I'm not going to delete any of them. Unless you actively lie about what's in the video, then I will. I will absolutely not tolerate any misconceptions or lies about what I am doing here. So I'll delete those. Everything else, I will read them and I appreciate them. And hey, if you see there's a large dislike button, by all means, make it larger. It doesn't faze me. So, that'll be it. This has been yet another episode of The Eljay Johnsen Show. This show airs every single weekend, every Saturday at 4 o'clock p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, unless specified otherwise over on Twitter at The Eljay Johnsen, where you can find updates and guest announcements every single Tuesday. And if you have any questions of the week, make sure to send them on over to my email, eljayjohnsen@gmail.com. Remember, that's JOHNSEN. That's a wrap. Farewell, and have a great day, everyone.
Bye.